Pawn to e5, bishop f5. Pawn to h4, Aronia. Going for broke. Queen to c8 and pawn to h5. Queen c8 I've seen recently. Who played this? Artemiev? It's a logical move. Looks a little slow. Can we change the 1.2 to 2.5? Is that possible? Chat is getting a little too excited. Uncle Indigo is saying, Jan is winning me over. At first I didn't like the whispering, but low-key funny guy. Thanks, Uncle Indigo. That means a lot. They're getting a somewhat weird French structure where the plus side for black is that the light square bishops got exchanged. Plus for white is that he grabbed a lot of space with the pawn on h5 already. And usually if you ask engines, I'm always surprised by this because I grew up thinking, if you get rid of the so-called fret bench bishop, then you should be doing great here with black. But computers still think that white is just better in these kinds of situations, especially if there's not enough pressure on the center. Yeah. I still find it hard to accept. Looks like black has space for all his pieces. Should be doing fine. And more moves have been made. Low castles. Carlsen trying to get the pieces out, concluded the king is safer. On the queen side than on the king side. Very sharp position now. White somewhat weakened his kings. Setup as well. With his pawn on g4. I don't know. Still feels easier for black to play. Carlsen goes c4. Another idea borrowed from the French. Now the white played a3. Makes it harder for white to open the position. Computer says white is just winning, which I'm confused by. But here we are. Rook g1. Sorry, guys, that I told you what the computer says. I will no longer pretend that the computer assessment is my own assessment by saying computer says. Twitch chat. Bishop f2. Rook g8. I know, still doesn't look that clear. But with white having all these units on this side, computer is still very, very optimistic for white. Rook h8 played. Aronia has a lot of time, played this very quickly. Seems to just believe in the white structure. And seems to know what he's doing here. Some decisions to make. Now, knight f6 is a move you would think about at least. Bishop f6, ef. Then how does black save this knight? Deep's saying c2 was a mistake, I think. What do you mean? Queen c2? Or did you mean c4? Levon is taking on h4 and goes gf5. So he doesn't try to trap this knight, he just exchanges it. Tries to open the position on the king side using his superior number of pieces in play there. It's not that superior, but the knight on c6, arguably a little far away. Rook g7, very deep, asking this knight to join the action. Computer, not a big fan of this move. King a6. Queen a4 check is not made. There's still knight a5. Queen d1, very deep. Luring this knight further away from the king side before switching to direct battle here. Diehex1 is saying England bigger German. Extremely well put, Diehex1. Rook g8. If you wonder what that lovely singing outside is, I don't know. Could be anybody. Rook g6, bishop g5. Nice little trick by Magnus. Separating the queen from the rook and forcing the rook to retreat to g7 or to go back to g7. It's not really retreating. Queen b5. Magnus changing directions. The queen is fishing for food on b2. Queen e2 covers it, but now bishop f4. He's just so sharp. He's in shape, and he seems in great shape today. The world champion. Amazing board vision. Just as I praise him, he goes bishop g5, which the computer is not a big fan of, probably because it lets this e-pawn roam freely. Still looks like anything could happen, frankly. Queen c6, knight f3. Can you take? Is there? Question was if there's checkmate here, knight b8. If takes, you lose the queen, so you have to go king b5 and a4, king a4. I don't see it. And yeah, nevertheless, Levon Aronian goes knight fe5. The engine was very excited about something, so probably there was a direct way. Bishop f4, queen h5. Pawn to f4 plate, g6, queen e7. Yeah, this whole game seems like a total mess, according to the engine. Aronia missed plenty of wins, but there was nothing, I would say. Oof. Should have spotted that one. It's just chaos. And now Carlsen survived. It's an end game, and all of a sudden, only black can be better because the b2 pawn is the weakest pawn on the board. The king is coming. And Carlsen has spotted a way to get to it. He's going to think if he should start with b5, but b5 is knight c7, so he's going to start by taking. I don't know if this is winning for black, but it looks very, very close. a5, surprising move. Why not just king b3? He's giving up this pawn. He has a plan. He's so good, even with no time in these endgames. He just knows. Must be nice. Carlsen. Too strong today. This is just winning now. d6 you take, followed by king c3, and Levon Aronian resigns. A game where he had plenty of chances. I want to see this one moment